Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's session. My name is Danny, and I'm the event planner for the New York Reactor. Before we begin, please take a moment to review our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. We encourage engagement in the chat, but please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional, and on topic. Useful links will be shared in the chat. This session is recorded and will be available on demand in 24 to 48 hours on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel. Which brings us to today's session. It will run for approximately 1 hour with times for questions throughout. I will now turn it over to our speakers for introductions.
Hey, thank you, Danny. Hey, everyone. Hope you can hear me all fine. And welcome to this session, deep dive on on-premises and VNET data gateways. And along with me, I have my colleague Aditya as well. So I, Abhishek, work as a product manager in the Data Factory team in Microsoft Fabric. And I have my colleague as well. We'll both take you through this session. And let's get started with this. So I'm going to quickly switch over to the next slides. Before we get started, again, feedback is extremely important. So we would want to start with a quick poll to understand your current state with respect to the gateways so that we can tailor this session dynamically as well. And let's get started. So if you can take a snap of this QR code, and then, of course, this is for live audiences, and then, give us a quick heads up with, responses to this, quick questions that we have on this, and that'll help us monitor and, tailor the session as we move on. I'll give another few seconds for folks to just take a snap of this QR and then give us feedback, and then we'll be monitoring the responses on this. And with this, I'll move on to the next slide. Let's get started with the session. So what we are going to talk about today is with respect to Data Factory in Microsoft Fabric. We will talk about what is a quick introduction to what Data Factory is, right? Data Factory brings in all the enterprise data integration that we had in Azure in terms of Azure Data Factory, Synapse Link, the Purview integration, together with the self-service data preparation that we had with Power Query. So, with both together, we are making things much more simpler as well as powerful. So we're getting best of both the worlds. The pro data integration experiences that we had in Azure and the citizen data integration experiences that we had in Excel, Power BI, Power Query, and Power Platform and Dynamics all together in Microsoft Fabric under the banner of Data Factory. And so, what's in a quick nutshell, this is what Data Factory is. So you get best of both the worlds, the Azure and what you can expect in citizen data integration experiences in Power BI and Excel and Dynamics as well. And then, of course, to sum it up, we have Copilot AI experiences, open source experiences that we have added in terms of Apache Airflow job. And of course, you have both options of no code and code-based tools. It's an integrated SaaS platform. I can probably talk about a day of what Microsoft Fabric is. So let's move on to our next slide, which is we'll get into the deep dive of Microsoft Data Factory and Microsoft Fabric. And before we set the scenes for the gateways, which is extremely important in terms of understanding security and doing a secure data integration, let's understand the different components within Data Factory. So it all starts with best-in-class connectivity. We have 170 plus data source connectors that you can use to ingest data or even write data back as part of your data integration experiences. And then all these connectivity stack actually runs on a compute, which we call it as gateway. And today's session is primarily going to be talking about the gateways. We'll talk about different flavors of the gateways, and we will see how you can enable your data integration experiences with all the best-in-class connectivity across the different gateways that we offer. And so we'll talk about data movement, with these connectors, different options that we have, the orchestration options we have, we understand orchestration is of paramount importance as well. When you're talking about building ETL, ELT pipelines, you may want to have certain logic and orchestration logic in between as well. And then transformations where you have both options of code-based or code-free orchestration transformation experiences as well. And all the basic fundamentals that you would expect in terms of deployment and observability, CI/CD versioning, all those functionalities are available in Fabric as well. And then the underlying compute, or not the compute, the storage is what we call it or refer it as one lake. And lake houses, warehouses, all are powered via the one lake storage that you see. And finally, you have the AI-powered intelligence. You have the Copilot experiences that helps you improve the productivity as well. And breaking down the items that we have, and when we talk about gateways, we are talking gateways with respect to these items. Copy job allows you to easily and also incrementally copy data, into or bring data into Fabric across, the different data sources. We are constantly adding more and more sources and expanding it to 170 different data source connectivity with copy job as well. And then pipelines is for data workflows, for scheduling, for managing complex orchestration needs. And many times you probably don't need pipeline. Copy job is good enough. But when you're doing a complete ELT pipeline and you have the need of ingesting the data and then massaging the data with notebooks or something, and then you want to build a logical pipeline which encapsulates all these processes together, and that's where the pipeline comes in of immense value as well for monitoring and managing your workflows. And then data flows gen 2 is our transformation engine. So it's very easy to use data preparation tool. You can use it for cleaning or transforming data. It's powered by M query, and it's very SQL-like, and it's visual as well. So you can pretty much do all the transformations visually, and you can write custom M functions as well in case if you have more advanced requirements and needs. But pretty much you have visual transformation or low-code transformations over there. And all these experiences that I talked about are powered by Copilot, which means if you're new to these pipelines and data flows, you have Copilot, which can help you get started quickly as well. And then we have Apache Airflow Job, which is primarily a Python-based orchestration engine. It's an open source orchestration engine. So we are embracing open source in Microsoft Fabric as well. And you can use, if you're coming from like a Python background, a code-based background, or you're actually using Apache Airflow on premise today or on any other cloud, you may find yourself more familiar with this orchestration. And so we have full support for that. We GA'd it last month. And then we have mirrored databases as well, which helps you easily replicate the data from an existing source into one lake and at no cost. So that's extremely important. So it helps you in scenarios where you have an operational DB and you don't want the operational DB to be impacted because of your analytics reports and analysts that are working on that particular set of data. And so you may want to mirror them into Fabric, and so that eases off the compute requirements on your operational DB, and then gets all the data as is into a mirrored database in Fabric, from where you can start all your reporting, even transformation, cleansing, all those experiences get started over there. And then Azure Data Factory allows you to bring or mount an existing data factory. If you're coming from an Azure world and then you have invested on Azure Data Factory, you can bring those pipelines into Fabric as well. And that's where the mount experience comes in. So with this, I'll move on to the next one. We talked about 170 different data sources. That is what Data Factory allows you to do, bring any data from any of these data sources via certain gateway types, which we'll talk about in the session. And that is extremely important because all the network security gets applied into the compute where you are actually using these connectors in to source your data. And so let's talk about the gateway options, right? So we have two kinds of gateways: VNET Data Gateway and on-premise Data Gateway. What VNET Data Gateway does is, let's start actually with on-premises Data Gateway. So what on-premises Data Gateway does, it's a Windows client that can be installed on your local machine. And through that, you get line of sight to your data sources. So very simple. It basically acts as a proxy to access your data sources, and you can set it up in any network environment, not necessarily on premises. You can set it up on a VM in Azure. You can set it up on a VM on AWS or Google Cloud as well, right? And get line of sight of that data sources in those cloud environments, and then source those data back into Lakehouse or wherever you want to get that data into. So we basically enable data integration scenarios, which are cross cloud, and even Azure cloud or on premises with the on premises data gateways. Now, why have VNET Data Gateway if you already have on-premises data gateway? So on-premises data gateway is managed by customers, which is you. So you will basically be installing these gateways on Windows machine. You'll be managing and updating these gateways. And this can be seen as a challenge, especially in the world where we are pushing updates to the gateways every month. You have to keep the gateways updated to get the best of our offerings, and also stay up to date with the security patches that we roll out. And hence these kind of things, which becomes like a management burden on if you're using an on-premises data gateway, which is basically resolved with the VNet Data Gateway. VNet Data Gateway is kind of, I term this as, in layman's word, a managed version of the on-premises data gateways. And so all the things, all the goodness that you get with VNet on-premise data gateways comes in a managed offering, which requires you to bring in an Azure VNet, Azure Virtual Network. By VNet, I mean virtual network. And so once you get in an Azure Virtual Network, the VNet data gateways can be created on demand. And that is, again, very important. So if you're looking at a bursty workload, right, which bursts, and then it doesn't work. Like, let's say you execute a pipeline or run a pipeline once in a day, right, and you don't need to have a VM provisioned for that 24/7. In case of on-premises data gateways, it's going to be always running. So you need to provision a VM which is running 24/7. In case of VNet data gateways, we have these options of time to live, which means we can automatically turn the gateways on whenever the need is. Yes, there is going to be a 1 minute latency or so when we turn it on, but then it'll turn it off after a TTL period, which you can configure, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And this gives users a lot of benefit in terms of price perf, because we don't need to keep running this, compute nodes all the time. And this is where we are getting closer towards PaaS, and even further PaaS, I would say SaaS, where it's managed by us, and we'll bring up the compute whenever we need it, and we'll scale the compute whenever we need it. So scalability is something we'll talk about later, things that we are working on roadmap as well, in terms of improving auto scale and things like that. But just to give you a context, this is why we need gateways, to get line of sight to your data sources, which are private, which are behind firewalls, which are cross cloud, which does not have access to using our cloud connections and cloud gateways. And so hence we need VNet and on-premise data gateways. With this, let's switch over and dig deeper into on-premises data gateway, and we'll run you through how to set it up, and also show you a quick, important demos. And I'll hand it over to Aditya to take us through the on-premises data gateways.
Awesome. Thank you, Abhishek. So yeah, let's talk about the Microsoft on-premises data gateways. In simple terms, as Abhishek mentioned it earlier as well, on-premises data gateways is a locally installed Windows client application that acts as a secure bridge that allows cloud-based services like Microsoft Fabric, Power BI. Probably might have used with Power Apps, Power Automate, and others to securely access on-premises data without moving any of their data to the cloud. So what makes the on-premises data gateway powerful are four major capabilities. Seamless on-premises data ingestion with secure data transfer, data integration with multiple cloud platforms, and doing all of these continuous data operations with high availability features. We'll dive deeper into these capabilities during this session. Next slide, please. Okay, so first, on-premises data ingestion. On-premises data gateways enables ingestion of data from your local sources like SQL Server, Oracle, could be SAP, and many others, and ensures that your legacy and sensitive data can still power modern cloud services like Microsoft Fabric, and facilitates these quick and secure behind-the-scenes communication flow from a user in the cloud to your on-premises data source and then back to the cloud. And if you talk about within Microsoft Fabric Data Factory, uh, the on-premises data gateway maintains a steady flow of information to one lake, enabling real-time powerful data integration capabilities and Fabric Data Factory workloads like data flows, pipelines, copy job, and now data mirroring as well. So looking at its architecture in Microsoft Fabric, the gateways, to put it simply, is composed of a lightweight gateway agent clusters that is installed on customers' local on-premises network, uh, and where that on-premises data source, for example, in this slide, you can see Oracle data source also exists. And there on the Fabric service side, a gateway service Azure Relay channel is used that the gateway uses to securely listen for and respond to cloud-originated requests from Fabric OneLake. And behind the scenes, the flow works by you can think of it as when a user initiates a data request from Fabric, like for example, for generating a Power BI report. The gateway uses the gateway service Azure Relay channel. The request is securely routed to the gateway through that Azure Relay channel, which the gateway is all we know it resides inside the on-premises network. So from cloud Azure gateway service Azure Relay channel, the request is securely routed to the on-premises gateway, and then the gateway then connects to the local data source, fetches the required data, for example, from Oracle on-prem database, and then sends it back securely to the requested cloud service like OneLake. And this whole round trip is this flow is very seamless, quick, enable secure communication flow from your from the cloud to your on-premises data sources, and then back to the cloud. Okay, so let's look at our first demo of this session, covering how to configure the on-premises data gateways.
We are super excited
Sorry, go ahead,
to
Abhishek.
announce that on-premises Data Gateway now can support Fabric Pipeline. In this demo, we will showcase how users can install and register an on-premises Data Gateway. Then run a pipeline copy activity to move data from on-premises SQL Server to Lakehouse. Simply click on the installation file and follow the prompts to set up the on-premises Data Gateway. During the installation process, you'll be asked to provide a name for the on-premises Data Gateway. For this demo, we've chosen the name Demo Gateway. You'll also need to input a recovery key. After a few minutes, the on-premises Data Gateway will be successfully installed on your local machine. To confirm the successful installation, navigate to the admin portal, where you'll spot the newly installed on-premises Data Gateway in the list. In our demonstration, we'll demonstrate copying data from an on-premises SQL Server to a Lakehouse. You can then return to your workspace and create a pipeline, which we've named Demo Pipeline. Add a copy activity to the canvas. When configuring the source, you have the option to create a connection for SQL Server. This can be done either through the admin portal or directly within this interface. In our demo, we've opted for the inline approach. Within the pop-up connection creation page, select SQL Server as the connection type, input the relevant information, and choose the on-premises Data Gateway we just created. The newly created SQL Server connection will be automatically selected. You can then test the connection, specify the table name, and preview the data. For the destination, select an existing lakehouse and the target lakehouse table. Finally, save and run the pipeline. Upon successful execution, you can verify the results in the lakehouse, where the data will have been successfully copied to the target table. Thank you for watching this demo. We are super
Yeah, so hope you enjoyed that. We looked at how you can configure on-premises data gateways to ingest data from on-premises SQL Server to Fabric Lakehouse using Data Factory pipelines.
Yeah.
And
So some interesting things. Just recapping what he showed is like setting up a gateway. Super simple. It's just a tool, your Windows application. Just install that. I saw something in that demo which was recovery key. Again, very important because using that recovery key means that if in future you want to move the gateways across nodes, across machines, and things like that, or you need the recovery keys. It's important to remember the recovery key because we encrypt metadata using that key, and that is important when you're moving gateways. But we do allow moving gateways, which is the point which I was trying to make is an important enterprise feature as well, especially when you're managing or your IT teams are managing the gateways, or some users leaving an organization that had a gateway set up on the local machine. These are scenarios where these are very practical and handy experiences that on-premises data gateway had. Then you showed pipelines and setting up a connection pointing to a gateway, and then being able to use data movement or data ingestion from the pipelines, which is all UI based. And you can ingest data at scale. What we didn't talk about the scale is you can achieve petabyte scale with the data movement or ingestion that we have in capability that we have with pipelines. Of course, all those performance numbers are going to be dependent on the network capability where you're creating these gateways and the size of the gateways. Like if you have huge bandwidth that allows this gateway to connect to your data sources and move the data, you'll get amazing bandwidth. If you have less resources, you will get lower bandwidth. But that was like amazing demo, and I'll hand it back to you to cover the next set of slides.
yeah, thanks, Abhishek. So yeah, uh, talking about multi-cloud integration in today's enterprise landscape, we know that organizations really rely on a single cloud provider. They may use Microsoft Fabric for data analytics, AWS S3 for storage, or VPC, virtual private clouds for isolated compute workloads. But this is where on-premise data gateways can play a crucial role as well by allowing centralized, secure access to your on-premise data from multiple cloud platforms. Uh, so even if your app is hosted on AWS or another VPC, if it uses Fabric Data Factory or not, the gateway facilitates that connectivity seamlessly. Rather than exposing your on-premise data sources directly to the internet or each cloud provider, the gateway provides a controlled, encrypted outbound-only channel, ensuring secure and data compliant flows. Let's look at a demo as well now again for which shows you how you can move data from Amazon S3, configured in a virtual private cloud setup to Fabric Lakehouse using on-premises data gateways.
We are super excited to announce the on-premises data gateway can now support Fabric pipelines. In this demo, we will showcase how users can install and register an on-premises data gateway to access S3 data in an Amazon Virtual Private Cloud or VPC, and then run a pipeline copy activity to move the data into the Fabric Lakehouse. Here we are in AWS. If I navigate to the EC2 dashboard, we can see that we have already installed an early version of the on-premises data gateway in an EC2 instance in an Amazon VPC. I can now go to my S3 bucket in AWS to see what specific data I am bringing in. I have already enabled permissions so that the contents of my S3 bucket can be accessed from the VPC. As you can see, I'm bringing in a Parquet file that contains information about public holidays. To confirm that we have successfully installed the on-premises data gateway, let's navigate to the admin portal in Fabric. Under the On-Premises Data Gateway tab, you will see Installed On-Premises Data Gateway in the list, and we can validate that it's enabled and running. Navigating to the Connections tab, we can also verify that we have successfully connected to the S3 instance as well. With this, data pipelines can now use Copy to access data in S3 in an Amazon VPC. Let's go to my demo workspace and create a pipeline, which we've named AWS S3 Demo Pipeline. Let's go ahead and add a copy activity to the canvas. Under Source Settings, search for the S3 connection that we saw in the admin portal earlier, and the connection was successful. Let's go and browse for the public holidays Parquet file under my specific S3 bucket, and adjust the file type to Parquet. Under Destination Settings, we'll go ahead and land the data in my demo lakehouse and specify the format to also Parquet. Let's save and run the pipeline. And you can see the pipeline ran successfully. Let's navigate to the lakehouse to see and verify the results. And immediately we can see that the data has been successfully copied from S3 into my lakehouse. So to summarize, you have just seen how customers can utilize Data Factory and Fabric to use on-premises data gateways to access S3 data in an Amazon VPC, and then use data pipelines to bring that data directly into Fabric. Thank you for watching this demo.
Great. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that one too. As you saw, the gateway allowed real-time sync of on-prem data with Microsoft services. This actually empowers you to create very unified dashboards and real-time analytics, even if the data originates from multiple different cloud environments.
Awesome. So Aditya, what we saw earlier was how you used the on-premises data gateway to get data from on-premise, and now we're extending that to across cloud scenario. So you can use get your data from Amazon. So we are not leaving any stones unturned, going out for all sources wherever the user needs in terms of making them successful for their analytics needs, and that's awesome. So yep. Let's move on. Do you want me to move to the next slide?
Sure.
So this basically sums up, I think, the same features that you saw in pipelines are available in mirroring as well. And mirroring allows you to kind of mirror data from different data sources, from different cloud networks. So everything that, just to summarize things that you're seeing, the gateway capability to get the data from sources are applied across surfaces. What I mean by surfaces is pipelines, data flows, copy job, semantic models, and so on. So it basically applies across, cuts through that. Just to summarize that, and let's move on to the next one.
Yep. And one of the top asks for data mirroring was the support for secure connectivity to data sources that are in virtual network or private network or on-premises network. So we're very excited to share that now. Recently, we released a capability through which you can now use the on-premises data gateway and virtual network data gateways as well, with database mirroring in Fabric, and use it securely to connect to your Snowflake, Azure SQL DB, and SQL MI data sources. And in future, we'll continue to add support for more data sources as well, so that you can leverage these data mirroring new capabilities. Next slide, please. Thanks. So yeah, as we work with many of you in learning about your enterprise use cases where you are using gateways, and we've been doing so since last decade, we've ensured that on-premise data gateways provide solution for all your enterprise needs. So now let's talk about each of these capabilities. So starting with scalability, when it comes to enterprise-grade scalability and resilience, on-premises data gateways offers a powerful feature called gateway clustering. So essentially, gateway cluster is a group of 2 or more gateway nodes configured to act as a single logical gateway. So this setup provides both high availability and load balancing support. So it's essentially for environments with high data refresh volumes or many parallel concurrent users. Gateway clusters help you scale with ease. It's all about scalability with gateway clusters. You can easily add or remove nodes as your demand grows, all managed centrally through the cloud admin center on the server side. And to support better governance and performance isolation, you can also segment these gateway clusters. For example, you can keep dev test workloads separate by spinning up gateway clusters on each of these areas. And large organizations, you can also create business unit specific clusters, like, for example, a different gateway cluster for finance team or marketing team. And make sure that you limit performance issues to a specific group, and it definitely helps with troubleshooting as well. Yeah. So with gateway clusters, you're in full control for scaling securely and efficiently. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier as well, gateways they come with high availability and reliability features. So gateways can be deployed in clusters, like I mentioned earlier, to ensure high availability and load balancing. You can group up to 10 gateway members into a gateway cluster to avoid failures. And the way it works is when a user queries and refreshes, sends refresh requests. These are automatically distributed across all these active gateway cluster nodes in each in the gateway cluster. So if one gateway node goes down, it could be whether due to maintenance, network issue, or probably maybe hardware failure as well, the other node seamlessly continue processing your original request. So this ensures zero downtime for your scenarios and in uninterrupted data access. So if we talk about gateway performance monitoring, traditionally administrators used to use Windows Performance Monitor to track gateway metrics, but now with enhanced query logging capability in on-premises data gateways, and we provide a gateway performance Power BI template through which you can get deeper insights into your gateway usage, which can tremendously help you troubleshoot slow queries, monitor CPU, memory latency, resolve all these kind of error rates, and helping you scale using these metrics, and make sure you make effective decisions clearly. Yeah. Another cool feature of gateways is that with partial support for on-premises data gateways, you can also automate common tasks like installing, configuring, or managing gateways and its clusters. You can create scripts for deployments, updating settings, managing data source, monitoring gateway status, which helps you streamline this whole administration management problem of gateways, and ensures consistency across environments as well. So yeah, gateways enables very secure data transfer. With on-premises data gateways, you can data is transferred through an outbound only connection, so which makes sure that your data is encrypted end to end using SSL. And since there are no inbound ports, you don't need to open any ports for the inbound ports for the firewall, and thus maintaining continuous data flow securely. Yeah. For data exfiltration control, the gateway uses outbound ports TCP 443 as mentioned in this slide. Again, I want to highlight that there are no inbound ports needed for gateways, so you can configure your firewall or proxy, with FQDNs, instead of even IPs to avoid disruptions from IP changes. Yeah, so you can use this built-in network, service tags as well, as shown in the slide here. The last four: Power BI Service Bus, Azure Data, Active Directory, and Azure Cloud, to allow outbound ports by just the service tags instead of IP addresses. So yeah, we just talked about on-premises data gateways. To help you, ingest data, move data, or even replicate data from your on-premises data sources to Microsoft Fabric Cloud with ease. And we saw that how you can manage your gateways using PowerShell scripts, how its scalable and high availability and reliability features can help you ensure that there are zero downtime on the gateways, and yeah, all of this while enabling secure data transfer. So now let's another key data gateways capabilities: virtual network. Abhishek, I'll pass the mic back to you if you would like to take it forward.
Awesome. Thanks, Aditya, for running us through on-premise data gateway and summarizing it for us on the value for it. Let's move on. And I think we started out the discussion saying on-premises data gateway can do everything. Why have virtual network data gateway? And we got into that, and we mentioned like the management aspects of that, the things that you saw Aditya showing in terms of automation, in terms of the need for automation, of course, because you're managing the gateway, and then all those outbounds, inbound, not inbound, but outbound requirements that you needed. So all those things needs to be configured and managed by admins or users who are setting up the gateway. Scalability, while we support clustering, you can add more gateway members into the cluster. There is an aspect of managing those nodes and keeping them alive and updating the gateways and things like that. So those are the things that we aim at resolving with the data gateway. And there's an echo. Yep, it's all good. Now let's move on to the next slide, which is virtual network data gateway. And how this works is basically, not going into the details, doesn't matter, the implementation of it. We are able to inject compute nodes in customers VNet, in your VNet. And of course, you have to do a delegation for that, and I'll show you in a bit. But in some sense, just understand that we are able to add nodes on the fly without latencies. I mean, there's some latencies, but not as much as you setting up a virtual machine, installing the gateways and making it work. It's just about a few seconds to a minute latency that we're talking about. And then we have the gateways up and running, and then we remove the gateways when it's not being used. So it gives you an isolated execution environment that is a security add-on that you get over the cloud connections. And then on top of that, let's talk about the functionalities, what you can achieve with that. So you know that Microsoft Fabric has a private link capability as well. It's at the tenant level as of now, but you can enable that, and that basically protects all the data that you have in one lake. And so if you have to access that data, let's say from another tenant or within the same tenant, the only way to access that using for data integrating the data for accessing or moving your SQL data sources or any data sources that we support into that is going to be via the VNET Data Gateway. So it allows you to read and write the data into the private links or through the private endpoints. And so that is the value that you can achieve. And with that, let's move on to what we announced. And before we get there, I will actually take you through a quick setup scenario of the VNet Data Gateways as well. I'll show you the setup before we jump back into the support that we recently announced on VNet Data Gateway. earlier, like a month back, we did not support pipelines, copy job, and database mirroring. While we supported these capabilities on the on-premises data gateway, it takes us some time to kind of get that to parity with the VNET Data Gateway. We are happy to announce that we now support, it's in preview, we'll soon be getting to general availability, but we have to start with preview at any point in time. So it's available for you to use the pipelines, copy job, database mirroring on using the VNET Data Gateways, which is the managed compute experiences. And this is very widely asked feature for, and because people don't want to be managing gateways, updating the gateways, because it is related to drivers, it's related to security patches, and these things needs to be done or rather managed by the provider, which is Microsoft in this case. So why not use VNet Data Gateway, which gives you a managed experience. But before that, I'm going to switch my screens, and I'm going to stop sharing and then reshare the slide again. Stop sharing and quickly go ahead and share my screen, entire screen too, and then come back here, and I'm going to show you a quick demo on the setup. So here what I have, and sorry for the smaller screens, let me just zoom in a bit. So this is Azure Virtual Network, and I don't want to complicate things, but I just want to give you a real picture of how the VNet Data Gateway works. So here's my virtual network which I created, Conteso VM VNet, and you can see multiple subnets in it. And I can go ahead and create a new subnet or use an existing one. Here I have a default subnet. For me to be able to create a VNet Data Gateway in the default subnet, I will have to do an action. And that action is basically you choose that particular subnet, you go to the delegation, you'll see something as subnet delegation, and that delegation you can choose Microsoft Network Power Platform VNet Access Links. And so you have to choose this because by virtue of delegating it to VNet Access Links, you are basically allowing us to be able to create the VNet data gateways on demand. And once you do that and hit the save button over here, you would be able to come back to Fabric. And so once this piece is done, you will see it's delegated here. All the 3 subnets I have, you just need 1 subnet. And you can go back into your Fabric UX. And in Fabric UX, you can go to Manage Connections and Gateways. You can access it through this, Manage Connections and Gateways. Inside this, you have a Virtual Network Data Gateways tab. In this tab, you can go ahead and create a new one. I have few which I have created here, but you can create a new one. You need to bring in a capacity, or a Power BI Premium license, or you can sign up for a trial. Fabric gives you, a 2-month trial period as well, so you can use trials. I'm going to use one of my existing capacity, and I'm going to create, choose a subscription, and let me type my subscription here, and let me get. So I have a bunch of resource groups. To be specific, the one that we had was, I can check. This is Conteso resource group. So I'm going to use Conteso resource group, and I should be able to find that virtual network that we saw, which is Conteso VM VNet. And now you would see I have the drop downs. So if you don't see a subnet in the drop down, it's likely because you haven't done the delegation correctly. So once you do the delegation correctly, you would see this option, and I can go ahead and click on default, and I can give it a name, the default thing, and I can specify number of gateway nodes that I want, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And we're going to keep adding more, but then this is all based on customer feedback. And you can specify the time to live, and you can even go granular. UI allows this, but API allows you even granular minute-based TTL periods. What it means is it'll start up 3 nodes, and it'll run your tasks whenever the task comes. And then it's gonna, after 30 minutes of no execution, it'll basically turn them down. It helps you save on your capacity. And I'm gonna hit the save button, and that's about it. So this is how easy it is to create a VNET Data Gateway from basically, yeah, it's going to do a validation of my capacity. And if my capacity does not allow me or permit me to support 3 nodes worth the cost, it's going to fail. But this is how simply you can create the VNET data gateways by giving the appropriate permissions. And that is what I wanted to show. And then you can, once this is created, you can do everything that you saw in the earlier demos of creating connections and creating connections and pipelines and copy job, mirroring, everything will work on this set of gateway. Now, I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to switch back quickly to my slides again. And share this. I hope I'm back on my slides. And I just wanted to continue from there. Is once your VNET data gateways is created, you can choose data gateway, virtual network information, the VNET data gateway that you choose, and continue to create the workflows that you've been creating. No difference. This is the only infra setup that we went through it. In addition to that, everything works that already works for you in regular connections. And so we announced support for Fabric data flows. Gen 2 was already supported. We announced support for Fabric pipelines, copy job, and data mirroring. Those are additional things. And you saw how we did the delegation. Once the delegation is done, we will take over or not take over. We'll provision the compute nodes as required whenever you run a task. And so that's what delegation means. And with this, I will run a quick demo, or like end-to-end demo for how do we do the Azure Blob Storage with Fabric Lakehouse via private link. This is stepping it up, saying if you have a private link in Fabric, Fabric supports tenant private links, and it's GA. So if you are blocking access to your lake houses and protecting it via a private link or private endpoints, then you can use VNET data gateways, even with pipelines or data flows, to ingest data into that secured lakehouse or read the data from that secured lakehouse. And so this demo will run you through that. And I'm going to quickly play that. And Aditya, show me a thumbs up if you hear audio.
We're super excited that VNET Data Gateway now supports Fabric Data Pipeline. Enterprise customers prioritize network security, especially when handling sensitive data. They prefer using private networks over public ones to minimize the risk of data leakage. Today, we'll demonstrate how to transfer data from an Azure Blob Storage to Fabric Lakehouse using Fabric Data Pipeline and VNET Data Gateway. Let's start with VNET Data Gateway step. When going into the Gateway portal, you can create a new VNET Data Gateway by clicking the New button. After selecting your capacity, subscription, corresponding virtual network, and subnet, you can easily create one VNET Data Gateway in a few seconds. Now, let's establish the connection. We'll create an Azure Blob Storage connection based on the VNET Data Gateway created just now. We input relevant information such as the storage account and authentication details. In addition, you can block all public network access of this blob storage and only allow the access from certain virtual network by creating private link and private endpoint. This can make sure your data is transferred securely through private network. Next, let's go to Fabric Data Factory homepage and create a data pipeline. Within this pipeline, we'll add a copy activity. We'll select the blob storage connection we just created as the source and create a lakehouse as the destination. Upon running this pipeline, after a brief wait, the data transfer completes successfully. In summary, now VNET Data Gateway can support Fabric data pipelines so that you can run copy or other pipeline activities by using VNET Data Gateway. This approach allows you to securely transfer data from your data stores to Fabric OneLake. Thank you for watching this demo.
So you saw end-to-end demo on how you use VNET Data Gateways, connections, and then pipelines to ingest data into your lakehouse securely.
We are super
And
excited.
I'll move on to the next one, the slide, and then I'll quickly cover the piece, which is, we saw how you can make it highly available by adding more than two nodes. And for the data exfiltration control, as I showed earlier, when you're configuring the VNets, you can use all the functionalities that Azure already supports. For example, Azure Firewall. Um, if you want to set up a load balancer, channel your traffic through that, you can do that. So all the data exfil control that's already existing in your network environments, you can plug it in with the VNet Data Gateway. Scalability, you saw you can add more nodes. In the future, we will be adding capability for auto scale as well. So you can specify min and a max node. Secure data transfer through private endpoints, private links, Fabric private link integration. As I mentioned, you can integrate with private links as well. In the previous demo, you saw private endpoints for storage. Similarly, you can have private links for Fabric too, and that will work too as well. And then you have automation REST APIs for making all the CRUD operations on the gateways on demand, and making updates to the gateways as well. So with this, I'll move on to our next few slides, and we just have a few more minutes to go. We talked about scalability. We talked about so it's good to understand how the VNet Data Gateway works, and it's important for you to understand this to plan your VNet gateways better. For example, uh, how many parallel queries can you run on each node of the VNet Gateway? And it's 6. How many direct queries can you run if you're using semantic models and reports? It's 15 concurrent direct queries. If you're using pipeline copy activity that you saw in the demo, it's probably 1 per node, or it can be more based on how what kind of copy you're doing. And this makes sense because now you can plan your gateway sizes. You can actually create more gateways. And one recommendation that I'll have in the next few slides is load distribution, right? So workload isolation, load distribution are key important things when you're planning gateways, that you don't overload a single gateway. Like for example, when you know that I'm going to run 100 parallel copy activities, you shouldn't be doing that at the same time. You shouldn't probably be using a single gateway. Rather, you should create gateways per team or per pipelines, or whatever that unit is, just to meet that this number is managed. Now, something to think about it is you can create n number of gateways inside a subnet as long as the IP addresses permits you to create those gateways. For example, if you need 10 gateways for 10 different pipelines, it's very simple. Creation of gateways will not bill you anything. You will not be charged for that. It's only the execution duration where you get charged. So either you run 10x duration or 10 hours of a single gateway versus you run 10 gateways for 1 hour each, you will be billed the same, but you'll get a better performance because you can finish all of them in 1 hour in the other case. And that's where these strategies are extremely important in terms of how you want to distribute the load, how you want to isolate the workloads, and so on. This will help you in your scalability story. With this, I'll move on to the next one: preventing data exfiltration. Key topic, very important topic, top of every IT sec person is how do I make sure that all the traffic that is going outside of my VNet are governed. You can use firewalls, and we are doing nothing. This is not a feature that we are building. Azure VNet has the feature. You can bring in a firewall, you can bring it a load balancer, you can have an application gateway, and you can now use all of those things together with the VNet Data Gateway. So VNet Data Gateway is basically consuming some compute inside your subnet, that you desire it to be in, and then you can define the network security rules, network traffic rules, how the flow should happen. It should be enforced via a given subnet. That could be your infrastructure subnet, which has an Azure firewall, and this way you can get all the data exfiltration controls as well. Now, I will quickly move on to a quick comparison before we would want to hear your feedback as well. So this is what we saw, recapping it. On-premises data gateway versus VNET data gateway. This is managed, experience on the VNET data gateway side. On the on-premises data gateway side, it's customer managed. On a VM versus VNET data gateway, it's fully managed by Microsoft. You need some TCP ports for on-premises data gateways. For VNET data gateways, you need none of those, right? And it just uses private link and all the network topology that your VNET already has. In terms of management, you have to install, patch, and scale gateway clusters yourself. In OPDG on-premises data gateway world, in VNET data gateway, it's all managed and handled by Microsoft. Cost, yes, it's free of cost. You pay for the workload that you run, like pipelines or data flows. In case of VNET data gateways, it does require a fabric capacity. But if in some sense, you're still paying for the VMs for the on-premises data gateway unless you're running it on a local machine, right? So if you're running it on Azure, you would still have some consumption on your Azure subscription, versus here now that unit changes from Azure payment subscription to fabric capacity. So I don't see that a difference if you're running OPDG on Azure VM versus VNET data gateway in
And
terms of any cost.
And on top of that, Microsoft manages for you, right?
Yep, absolutely. So you get more functionality, flexibility. You stay latest, all the security patches, all the connectors, all the updates, free of cost. I wouldn't say free of cost, but I would say at no additional cost. Than running OPDG on an Azure VM, where you are still paying for the VM, right? So that was that, and these are some updates that we have in terms of coming soon on-premises data gateway. In these are the things that we talked about in preview. On the right hand side, you would see auto update on-premises data gateway. Again, a very important feature that we are pointing to, why on-premises data gateway has a more management hassle. Probably will reduce the management hassle with the auto update, and that's coming soon in the next 6 months or so. And improved diagnostics, extremely important for troubleshooting. Auto scale of VNET data gateways will make it even more sassified, and then rollout of VNET data gateway support in newer regions. These are key things. Now, what I would want to do is take the last 2-3 minutes for answering your questions. Please feel free to post your questions as comments. I see a question. I'll be reading and answering those questions. In the meantime, please go ahead, take a snap of this QR and give us your feedback so that we can keep the interesting comments and we can focus on the content that you are looking forward to. And so please give us feedback regarding this session, snap the QR, give us your feedback. In the meantime, the next couple of minutes, I'll use that to answer your questions. So I see a question. Is there something that's available now which allows me to consume files from SharePoint site to Fabric Lakehouse? I wanted to do this back in March and learned that there is no direct way. The answer to that is yes, there is a way. You can use data flows Gen 2, where you can read files from SharePoint. It could be a CSV file, and you can write it into a lakehouse. So that should work. And if it doesn't work, let us know on the chat why it doesn't work. We can probably troubleshoot that as well. But that's certainly one path to make it work. And there are other paths too. For example, pipelines can read from SharePoint files as well. And so I would, in this case, to make it super simple, data flows would be really simple, and you can get started in few seconds, and you can use SharePoint, and you don't need any one of these gateways because SharePoint is again SaaS and it's publicly the endpoints are public, which means you can connect via the cloud connections and using data flows Gen 2. So you don't even require technically the use of gateways in that case, but that should certainly work. The second comment that sorry, Aditya, you wanted to add something?
That you can directly use the SharePoint online list connection connector in Dataflow Gen to to directly, since from cloud source to another cloud destination. So you can use you don't need to install any gateways and directly use that connection to move data from SharePoint online. Yeah.
Awesome. And then I see a follow up on that. Had to use Power Apps. That's really unfortunate. That you had to use Power Apps to load CSV files from SharePoint and Fabric. Many times, many experiences, even in data flows in Power Platform, is powered by the same engine that we have. So you can use that in Fabric as well. I don't see any other questions, and we are about time. So thanks a lot, everyone, for joining the session. And whenever you're watching the session, keep posting your questions, and we'll keep answering those questions. And thank you for joining us today. Have a good day, rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.